Here we go. Saturday project number 2, actually 2.5. I got the spare tire carrier on the Humvee, and I also actually installed, I didn't film it, but I actually scored one of those tool kits with the pickaxe and the shovel and the axe, and just popped it in the back. It's pretty cool, like that. But anyway, this is our sending unit, and there's some sort of a float here inside, and something that I like this, U.S. military only. Something I like about this, or don't like about this, notice both male plugs, obviously both black. No markings on here. One of these is going to go to ground, the other one should be going to the sending unit. Pretty sure, but excuse me, one to ground, one to gauge. But I guess we'll figure it out when we get everything apart. Comes with some new screws and gasket. Anyway, come on in here, show you what we're working with. I've got a horse mat. Yeah, spare tire, done. Toolkit, done. All right, so I've got this horse mat in here. I'll get some light here in a second. This stuff has been great, but it's heavy, and it's covering up the fuel sending unit location. I'm gonna get something to roll this back, get in here with some light, get that puppy out. Light on the subject, always a good thing. I am hoping there aren't nuts on the back side of this. Whoa, how do the dogs keep opening the door? Get back, like baby. My dog has figured out how to open that door. That's just awesome. You know, those of you with animals know that to some degree you spend your life trying to stay one step ahead of them. So it's nice to have doors that separate things so that you know, oh goodness, this is so far okay. These two are working right, but it's like this one. I have to go get something to pry against the riv nut because it's just twisting in the body. That's awesome. Oh, taking a look up there, there's not, that's the, you can see daylight, that's where I pulled the plate. I just unplugged these two wires. I think these are right. What troubles me is there's a male and a female there, and I think I showed you with my kit that they sent me, they're both male. A little concerned about that. I don't know if that's a jumper in between. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen these up and see if I can get the tank to tilt just a tick, because where it is right now, I can't get to anything. And I think, oh yeah, so I'm going to need to go get a wrench because everything on the truck requires a technician on both sides. Be back. Yeah, this is so aggravating when you have to put a wrench on both sides of like every fastener. And so what's a lesson about this is in the manufacturing process. When AM General's building these, they clearly spent too much money building them, because in the build process you would have to have a technician on, you know, on both sides of a lot of this stuff, and all that is going to do is increase cost of production and stuff because there's more people. So if, you know, in this situation, had this been welded from a factory, or a nut, you know, a nut welded on this plate, your bolt would just go in. And the majority of your street vehicles, your consumer civilian vehicles, are made that way. In the manufacturing process, obviously they snap the nut on when they're building the bracket. They just, you know, they punch it all in, and then when they're installing the tank, they just push it up and there's only one wrench, you know, and it goes in. But Anyway, no one asked me when they did this stuff. Look up in here, there. The harness is attached to something on this stud. 7/16 it looks like. So before I get this completely opened up, I want to get an idea what's going on with my wiring, since I have two male ends and I need a male and a female for this to plug in correctly. I'm wondering if I'm going to have to drop the tank even further, and I'm afraid that answer is yes. I don't know how flexible. Well, pretty flexible. So I guess I'm going to get the jack underneath there and go ahead and take those nuts all together and try to let it down some more, see how far I can get away with before the fuel filler neck grabs. As usual, I made things harder for myself. Turns out that this, my new one has got male ends right here, right? Got these two male ends. And I guess this original sending unit has two, well, it's the way this harness is here. Whew, these boots have seen better days. But anyway, so these are female and female, and it would make sense now that this is going to go onto that guy. But so this is a different sending unit. It's a good thing I did lower the tank a little, though. Actually, it's not. I'm just going to try to make myself feel better. But this was a little bit under the edge of the floor here, and by tilting it, lowering it down, I definitely gained some more room, and I wasted time. Probably didn't have to do that. So I'm just gonna scrub it a little bit, scrape it, get the vacuum in here, and vacuum it, and I'll get this thing apart. And I'm going to start taking these out and then try to snake this thing out of here in a minute. Yeah, so we've got the screws out here. Yep, this is, excuse me, this is, I think, the original design here. Excuse me. And these are all being replaced, or they've all been replaced. Huh, I guess I'm surprised to see that. These are all being replaced, have been replaced with this other style. So this is your very traditional float that you see in pretty much any car. Literally, the float, and as the you've got the resistance meter here. It'll go from like 0 to 90 ohms or something, and then it feeds that back to the gauge. But this guy is a totally different design. Here is our test to confirm the status. We were showing full all the time. Look at that, needle's moving. So just doing a quick test like that, it's good to go. So however it is I've hooked it up, I did it correctly. Get this thing sewed up. So it turns out I completely wasted my time and your time that you watched me underneath there. Well, you know what? Let's call it good. Let's call it good that I dropped the tank a little bit, because I did need some swing room to get right around here. So really here, we're just going to reverse it. I'm going to mark the wires, since apparently that's correct. I'm going to mark them so I get them back the same way. I don't even know if it matters, but I'm going to make sure that I get them back like that, because it is working. And then this thing's going in. What I do like about the sending unit when you purchase this is it comes with new hardware, which is good, because the old hardware was old. And I don't know if this thing is being clocked a particular position or not. it's already floating in there because we currently have pretty much a full tank. I filled up. Go back and watch my Humvee. You all right there, guys? That was a hard landing. Anyway, if you go back and watch my Humvee versus Puritan Creek trail, at the end of there, well, first of all, I had no fuel gauge, and I've never been that far with this. And then I think we was like 16 miles out there or something, and I had no idea where I was on fuel, and I was a little concerned I could even be running low. And just when we were heading home, and I was saying to her, it's like, ooh, we'll see how we do on fuel, because I have no idea. And that's when the fellow broke down with the Toyota, and we ended up flat towing him all the way back. And I thought for sure I was going to end up needing someone to tow me. So this is what, about 25-gallon tank or something, I think. And we used that whole day from here all the way up the mountain to there, and then through the trail and back down towing him. I got back, I filled it up, and we put 15 gallons in it. I think that's what it was, 15. So anyway, we did fine on fuel. We had fuel to spare at that point. So I'm making another mistake here. I think before I started the plunge in, I should have gone ahead and done this and prepped these. I'm gonna pull this out. It's gonna, crap. I'm dripping diesel everywhere. So if you're doing this on your truck, stick the new hardware through before you stick it in the hole. Learn from my mistakes. Anyway, she did okay on fuel. You know, I didn't do the math on it. I'm not exactly sure the mileage, but that's from here to Chickaloon up to the Puritan Trailhead. Was that mile 92 or something? And so I don't know what mile it is that we start out when we come off Palmer West Hill Highway and turn on to Old Glen, but it was just say we went some miles that day and chucked it okay and towed home. I will tell you, I was worried about fuel, so I shut the motor down a lot when we were. I normally kind of leave it running the whole time. One of my concerns would be one of my concerns would be getting having a starter failure, and the starter, I haven't had it off yet. I will now that I've said this, but the starter, I think you have to like jack the engine up and stuff to get it out. And so if you just leave the truck running when you're off-road and worry about it not starting if you don't turn it off. So during the winter though, I do often just leave it running so the heater's going and stuff, but I shut it down while we were on Puritan Creek Trail when we were waiting in between other people getting stuck and stuff. So this isn't just it doesn't just want to go zoop 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 right in, but it's getting there. So here's what you can learn at home. Number one, you see how this looks on top, and you see how this looks on top. So if you open yours up and you got the metal head on it, you got the old style. And if that's the case, the harness is going to look different. It's okay. Turns out it's fine. You do not have to drop the fuel tank necessarily. However, this distance right here on my truck, really, I needed to get some extra space in here. So we're gonna call it okay that I did that. I did unplug some wires under there. Total waste of time. Shouldn't have done it. I thought those wires were these wires going across, and unplugging them was easy. I've been down there fighting trying to plug them back in. I don't even know if they're in tight. So part of my wrap up here is going to be really making sure that those are in tight. I don't think that's screwing into anything. It's not. So we'll wrap up here. I'm not going to waste your time with putting it all back together. showing you step by step. I'm going to get it back together and then we're going to check it out one more time. Yeah, so wrap up on this. This is, again, the original style sending unit for at least the M998. I don't know when they quit using these, but it's pretty neat. These things fascinate me. Not exactly sure why this one was reading full all the time, but we're back in business now. Couple quick learning lessons from this. Yeah, I do think that loosening the 2 bolts on the tank and letting it come down was helpful in case of my truck to get to the couple of bolts that were right there under the body and then have room to snake that out. That little bit went a long way. There was no need to unplug the 2 wires that were underneath above the drive shaft there. That was wrong on my behalf. So obviously I had to put all that back together. Those plugs plugged in and went together. Long story short, it worked. So there was no modification to anything. I did use ample dielectric grease in there because the way the boot is, it changed a little bit. So its tendency to be 100% waterproof or close to is not any longer. So that's it. Good project, needed to be done. And by the way, price-wise, I think that thing was somewhere, right around $100, maybe a little less or something. Anyway, appreciate your time, appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.